We're not here to chase greatness. We're here to claim it. Our ambitions don't fit into headlines or highlight reels. So if you thought we arrived,
2 more for Boston.
now you know. We're not here for the moment. We're here for the takeover.
The Indiana Fever didn't just draft Caitlin Clark, they brought the WNBA back from the dead. No one saw it coming, but now everyone's talking. Sold out arenas, crazy fan energy, non-stop media buzz. The WNBA feels alive again, and it all started the moment the Fever made their move.
We love to see a good clapback, right? And no one does that better than Caitlin Clark.
The Indiana Fever are taking no prisoners this season, and they have just launched their new marketing campaign with the tagline, "Now you know."
Let's not pretend the WNBA was always this exciting. Before 2024, it was quiet out there. Too quiet. The games were solid, the talent was there, but the hype, barely a whisper. You had diehard fans, yes, the real ones, but the average sports fan, most of them didn't care. Crowds were small. Sometimes it looked like more people were working at the arena than sitting in it. You could hear the sneakers squeak louder than the fans cheering. And don't even start on TV ratings. Most people didn't even know when the games were on. The WNBA wasn't trending on Twitter. It wasn't blowing up Instagram. It just existed. No viral moments, no highlight reels getting millions of views, no massive debates on sports shows. The league had stars, Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, but outside the WNBA bubble, hardly anyone knew their names. That's just the truth.
And that's the worst part of all this, is the new fans are sucking the f***ing life out of the WNBA right now. It's just the truth. You are right. You are right, new fans. There has never been more viewership because of Caitlin Clark. There's never been more attention. They're doing 40 minutes on First Take about Caitlin Clark. They never did that before, as Monica McNutt called out.
The media coverage was limited. You'd get the occasional headline, but nothing consistent. It felt like the WNBA was stuck in second gear, waiting for something, anything to kick things into motion. Players were grinding, putting on shows every night, but most of the country wasn't watching.
Our road games sound like home games because our fans don't ask for permission to dominate.
And the marketing, let's be honest, it wasn't hitting. The league didn't know how to sell itself the way the NBA does. There was respect for the game, sure, but there wasn't excitement. Fans wanted more. Players deserved more. The product was there. It just needed someone to light the fuse. And that fuse was the Indiana Fever. Then came the moment that flipped the switch. The Indiana Fever drafted Caitlin Clark, and everything changed. Just like that, the WNBA wasn't in the background anymore. Caitlin Clark wasn't just another player. She was the player. College basketball's queen. NCAA's all-time scoring leader, dropping 40-point games like it was light work. Packed arenas. Ticket prices are through the roof. Celebs in the stands. She was a walking highlight reel and a media magnet. And here's the crazy part. She built all that before going pro. She already had a brand, a massive fan base, a name that even non-basketball fans knew. ESPN, SportsCenter, TikTok. You couldn't scroll for 2 seconds without seeing Caitlin hit a logo 3. And now she's bringing all that energy to the WNBA. But wait, it gets better, because the Fever didn't just have Clark. They already had Aliyah Boston. Boston is a beast. No other word for it. Rookie of the year, rebounding machine, defensive wall, charismatic, confident, a leader on and off the court. So now Indiana's got the duo, the unstoppable force plus the immovable object. Clark with the flashy shots and crazy court vision. Boston is holding it down in the paint. You couldn't have written a better script. Suddenly the Fever became must-watch TV. This wasn't just a team, it was a storyline. Every game felt like an event. Every matchup had drama. The fans showed up, the cameras showed up, even the haters showed up, and that's how you know you're winning. It wasn't just about basketball anymore. It was about the buzz. Indiana went from a rebuilding team to the face of the league, from empty seats to sold-out crowds. And it all started the moment Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston became teammates. The league saw what was happening and jumped on it fast. Caitlin Clark wasn't just bringing eyes to Indiana. She was pulling the whole WNBA into the spotlight, and the league wasn't about to waste that. Suddenly, Fever games got primetime slots. No more random Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. on channels no one watches. We're talking ESPN, ABC, full-blown national coverage. The WNBA schedule rearranged. The Fever became the center of the calendar. Why? Because people were watching. TV ratings started climbing fast. People who had never watched a WNBA game in their lives, now they were tuning in every week. The broadcasters stepped up too. Better commentary, better visuals, better storytelling. It finally felt like these games mattered. And social media, it exploded. Every Caitlin Clark assist, viral. Every Aliyah Boston block, reposted 1,000 times. Fans were cutting highlights before the game even ended. You had NBA stars tweeting about WNBA plays. LeBron, KDCP3, Steph. They were talking about the Fever like they were watching Game 7 of the finals.
And keep standing.
And they just decided to lean into it. They're like, oh yeah? Our fans are loud. So what? Now what? Now you know.
No. You're right, because the backlash was stupid. It was stupid. A bunch of crybaby bullies is how I refer to them. A bunch of crybaby bullies who are either crying or trying to bully you around their crying. Crybaby bullied their way around the Fever all last year when the Indiana Fever, specifically Caitlin Clark, is the best thing that's ever happened to women's basketball, the WNBA, and really women's sports in general. And anyone who says
it gave the league something it never really had before. Crossover hype. This wasn't just good for women's basketball, it was good basketball, period. And now people were paying attention. The media followed the hype, big networks, more interviews, headlines every week, and not just about drama, actual gameplay. The WNBA didn't just ride the wave, it shifted gears, better marketing, cleaner promo videos, more merchandise, more player features, more access. It wasn't just a reaction, it was a full-on pivot. The WNBA saw the storm coming and decided to dance in the rain, all thanks to the Indiana Fever's spark. Now, let's talk about facts. Fans didn't just show up, they exploded. The moment Caitlin Clark suited up for Indiana, everything shifted. We're talking ticket sales that skyrocketed, not slowly, instantly. It was like someone flipped a switch and the whole country decided, yep, we're watching the Fever now. Merch? Gone. We're not talking fake hype sellouts like that Angel Reese drama. No shady PR moves. This was real, legit. Fans were lining up online and in person, trying to snag Clark's jersey, and not just in Indiana. These jerseys started popping up everywhere, at NBA games, on city streets, in schools, at concerts. Clark wasn't just a WNBA player, she was the moment. You want to see the impact in numbers? Check this. Before Clark, Indiana games barely filled seats. You could hear individual coughs in the crowd, but now, sold out arenas, fans screaming, energy through the roof. And it's not just home games. Away games started selling out too. Teams hosting Indiana, they cashed in big. Suddenly every Fever game was the hottest ticket in town. This wasn't a fluke, this was a movement. Families started coming out. Parents are bringing their daughters to see the new face of women's hoops. And those little girls, they weren't just watching, they were locked in, eyes wide, phones out, recording every dribble, every deep three. Clark wasn't just giving people a reason to watch, she was giving them a hero. And here's the part that proves it's real. The fan base grew loud, visible, vocal. WNBA highlights started trending regularly. Social media is flooded with Fever clips. Jerseys sold out. Resale sites exploded. People who never cared before, now they're arguing over Clark's assist numbers. And don't forget the NBA crossovers. Big time players rocking their jersey courtside. This wasn't women's sports being supported out of sympathy. This was pure hype, driven by real excitement. Indiana didn't just gain fans, they sparked a nationwide fandom frenzy. This ain't just basketball anymore, it's culture. The Indiana Fever went from a rebuilding franchise to a full-on cultural phenomenon. This isn't just about winning games, it's about changing the entire vibe of women's sports. Everywhere you look, boom, Caitlin Clark's influence. On TikTok, girls are mimicking her step-back threes. On YouTube, edits of her no-look passes with 90s rap beats. Twitter/X, flooded with side-by-sides comparing Clark to Curry. And then you've got Aliyah Boston doing dance trends in the locker room while pulling double-doubles like it's light work. This team has personality, and fans eat that up. The Fever aren't just a team, they're a movement. Suddenly, WNBA players are getting invited to big-name podcasts, interviewed by celebs, sitting front row at Fashion Week. They're not stuck in the background anymore. They're part of the conversation. Sneaker deals are being signed. Endorsement contracts are getting bigger. The media finally caught up to what the fans already knew. These women are stars. Look at the way girls are showing up to games now. Not just as fans, but believers. They're drawing Clark 22 on their arms. They're pretending to hit logo shots on the playground. They're dreaming out loud in ways they never used to, because now they've seen it. Not just greatness, but greatness being celebrated loudly. Women's basketball used to have an underdog vibe, fighting for airtime, fighting for respect. But now, that's done. The energy has shifted. The vibe is electric. The confidence is unapologetic. The WNBA isn't asking for space anymore. It's taking it. The Indiana Fever didn't just play well, they changed the conversation. They made it cool to care. They sparked a cultural wave, and now everyone's riding it. And honestly, about time. Now, let's not act like everyone's throwing flowers and singing praise, because when someone rises this fast, the shade comes just as quickly. And Caitlin Clark, she's been catching it left and right. The moment her name hit headlines, you could feel the tension shift across the league. Some veterans didn't like the spotlight swinging all the way to one rookie. Why does she get all the attention? That's the question simmering under the surface, and sometimes right on the surface.
And then here we have today, basically clapping back at all of that and proving that they know that they are the moment, they are the Showtime team, they are the biggest team currently in the WNBA. This kind of stuff is not only good for the Indiana Fever, it's good for the entire WNBA.
We're talking subtweets, shady interviews, players like tweets that question her skills. Some call it healthy competition, others pure jealousy. Because let's face it, the media's been obsessed. ESPN can't go 2 days without mentioning Clark's name. Highlight reels, all her, post-game reactions, her again. Meanwhile, players who've been grinding in the league for years feel like they're getting sidelined, and that stings. Some WNBA vets are asking, where was this energy when we were rookies? Fair question. There's real frustration from the players who've been holding it down since day one, pushing for more respect, more visibility, more money, and suddenly a college superstar swoops in and gets all three overnight. But here's the twist. Clark didn't ask for this frenzy. She's just hooping, doing her job. It's not her fault the cameras follow her every move, but that hasn't stopped the whispers. Some say it's not just skill, it's media bias, that she's being propped up because of how she looks, where she played, or who she appeals to. A conversation nobody wants to say out loud, but you better believe it's happening everywhere behind the scenes. Still, Fever fans? Oh, they're loving the drama. They're in the comments defending Clark like their life depends on it. Haters just mad. They say she's box office, period. And honestly, they're not wrong. Drama draws eyes. Beef builds buzz. Every time a player shades her, more people tune in. Every time she's doubted, she drops 25 and a dagger 3 just to prove a point. So yeah, there's beef, there's pushback, there's ego in the mix, but that's how you know the WNBA is really hitting that next level, because when fans start picking sides, when rivalries form, and when players can't help but throw jabs, that's real momentum, that's entertainment. And Clark, she's not just surviving the pressure, she's thriving in it. Alright, let's zoom out, because what the Indiana Fever are doing right now, it's not just about this season, it's about changing the whole future of the WNBA. This isn't a one-year wonder. This is the kind of transformation that sticks, that reshapes the business, that redefines what women's basketball can look like for the next decade. First off, new fans, millions of them. People who didn't even know Indiana had a WNBA team 6 months ago are now ride or die for the Fever. That's more eyeballs on games, more clicks, more streams. And where there's attention, there's money. We're talking sponsors, ad revenue, merch sales, all skyrocketing. That money, it flows back into the league, and that means better salaries, better facilities, better everything. So what's going to be next? The Fever become a blueprint, a model for how to build a team around hype and talent. They drafted smart, built chemistry, and leaned into their stars. Other franchises are watching closely. Expect teams to follow that same formula. Get the fans invested, give them a face to root for, and let them feel something. Because that's what this is. It's an emotional investment. You're not just watching a game, you're watching a story unfold. And here's the bigger picture. picture. Indiana Fever is making it clear. The WNBA is worth investing in. Broadcasters are realizing that people will tune in. Brands are seeing that women's sports sell. And young girls, they're dreaming bigger. They're seeing a path. College stars are starting to say, yeah, I want to be drafted by the Fever. Because it's that kind of team now, the one everyone's watching, making no mistakes. The Fever aren't just chasing wins, they're chasing legacy. They're out to change the perception of the entire league. And every time they light up the court, they're saying to the world, we belong on the big stage. And guess what? They're ready to dominate it, loud and proud. So what is the future? It's definitely bright, it's loud, and it's being led by a team that refuses to play small. The Indiana Fever aren't just balling, they're building the soul of the league. Here's the bottom line, folks. Indiana Fever didn't just draft Caitlin Clark. They drafted the future of the WNBA. They brought energy back to the league. They gave fans something to believe in again. And love it or hate it, you can't ignore them. And let's be honest, ticket sales through the roof, merch flying off the shelves, and the viewership record-breaking. This isn't hype, it's a movement. What started as one rookie stepping into the spotlight turned into a full-blown revival. The Fever turned quiet arenas into madhouses. They made WNBA games must-watch events. Every play, every stare down, every post-game quote, it's all going viral. And that's the magic. That's what the league's been waiting for. So whether you're Team Clark or not, whether you root for the Fever or another squad, there's one fact you can't argue with. Indiana just made the WNBA the hottest show in town. And guess what? This is just the beginning. Strap in! Because of the Fever, they're not cooling off anytime soon. And if you're loving this WNBA energy, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more hard-hitting takes, and drop a comment. Are the Fever the real deal or just getting started? Let's hear your hot takes below. This season's about to get wild. See you in the next video. Until then, stay wild.